The Dictionary of Real Estate Appraisal, Chapter M, continued, page 140. Market gap analysis. C. Gap analysis. Marketing period. C. Marketing time. Marketing time. An opinion of the amount of time it might take to sell a real or personal property interest at the concluded market value level during the period immediately after the effective date of an appraisal. Marketing time differs from exposure time, which is always presumed to precede the effective date of an appraisal. Advisory opinion number 7 of the Appraisal Standards Board of the Appraisal Foundation and statement on appraisal standards number 6. Reasonable exposure time in real property and personal property market value opinions address the determination of reasonable exposure and marketing time. See also exposure time. Market participants. Individuals actively engaged in transactions in real property markets. Primary market participants are those who invest equity in real property or use real estate. For instance, buyers, sellers, owners, lenders, tenants. Secondary market participants include those who advise primary market participants. For instance, advisors, counselors, underwriters, appraisers. Market penetration. A comparison of the sales or use of a product or service compared to the total theoretical market for that product or service. Examples include the proportion of seniors living in senior housing or the proportion of automobile owners who use car wash facilities. Market rent. The most probable rent that a property should bring in a competitive and open market reflecting the conditions and restrictions of a specified lease agreement, including the rental adjustment and revaluation, permitted uses, use restrictions, expense obligations, term, concessions, renewal and purchase options, and tenant improvements, TIs. Market risk. Risk that the net operating income of a property will be affected by changes in the market. For instance, shifts in demand or supply or both. Trends in operating expenses, market rents, including reimbursements. Market risk varies by property type, location, and age. For instance, A newly developed property may be a riskier investment than an older property with a successful leasing history. Market segmentation. The process by which sub-markets within a larger market are identified and analyzed. See also disaggregation. Market share. The portion of a trade area's potential. For instance, retail sales to be generated, office space to be absorbed. That can be attributed to a particular property based on the property's competitive strength relative to its competitors. Market standard. The standard against which characteristics of the subject and competitive properties are compared to determine their competitive strength. The market standard is the quantity or quality of a property characteristic that market participants consider to be typical in a given market. Examples are the number of bathrooms in apartment units, the parking ratio for office buildings, or street orientation for retail centers. Market study. An analysis of the market conditions of supply, demand, and pricing for a specific property type in a specific area. Market support. Sufficient demand to ensure the viability of a real estate enterprise. Market survey. See market study. Market vacancy. The actual amount of vacant space in a market at a specific point in time, measured either as an amount or as a percentage of total supply. Market vacancy changes over time as a result of changes in the balance of supply and demand. See also equilibrium vacancy and stabilized occupancy. Market segmentation. Let me see how I can do that. Like that. There we go. It shows a little map, and it has sections of the city squared off into different areas. For instance, you have a market segmentation of the central area. Here, down here, you have the south slash AHSM. Over here, you have the I-75 corridor. Over here, you have downtown. And over here, you have South Main. This is market segmentation. Market value. A type of value that is the major focus of most real property appraisal assignments. Both economic and legal definitions of market value have been developed and refined, such as the following. Number one, the most widely accepted components of market value are incorporated in the following definition. The most probable price as of a specified date in cash or in terms equivalent to cash, or in other precisely revealed terms, for which the specified property rights should sell after reasonable exposure in a competitive market, under all conditions requisite to a fair sale, with the buyer and seller each acting prudently, knowledgeably, and for self-interest, and assuming that neither is under duress. Market value number 2. Market value is described, not defined, in the Uniform Standards of Professional Appraisal Practice, USPAP, as follows. A type of value stated as an opinion that presumes the transfer of a property. For instance, a right of ownership or a bundle of such rights as of a certain date, under specific conditions set forth in the definition of the term identified by the appraiser as applicable in an appraisal. Comment. Forming an opinion of market value is the purpose of many real property appraisal assignments, particularly when the client's intended use includes more than one intended user. The conditions included in market value definitions establish market perspectives for development of the opinion. These conditions may vary from definition to definition, but generally fall into 3 categories. Page 142. Number 1. The relationship, knowledge, and motivation of the parties. For instance, the seller and the buyer. Number 2. The terms of sale. For instance, cash, cash equivalent, or other terms. And number 3, the conditions of sale. For instance, exposure in a competitive market for a reasonable time prior to sale. Appraisers are cautioned to identify the exact definition of market value and its authority, applicable in each appraisal completed for the purpose of market value, USPAP 2016 through 2017 edition. USPAP also requires that certain items be included in every appraisal report. Among these items, the following are directly related to the definition of market value. Identification of the specific property rights to be appraised. Statement of the effective date of the value opinion. Specification as to whether cash, terms equivalent to cash, or other precisely described financing terms are assumed as the basis of the appraisal. If the appraisal is conditioned upon financing or other terms, specification as to whether the financing or terms are at, below, or above market interest rates and/or contain unusual conditions or incentives. The terms of above or below market interest rates and slash or other special incentives must be clearly set forth. Their contribution to or negative influence on value must be described and estimated, and the market data supporting the opinion of value must be described and explained. Number 3, the following definition of market value is used by agencies that regulate federally insured financial institutions in the United States. The most probable price that a property should bring in a competitive and open market under all conditions requisite to a fair sale, the buyer and seller each acting prudently and knowledgeably, and assuming the price is not affected by undue stimulus. Implicit in this definition is the consummation of a sale as of a specified date and the passing of title from seller to buyer under conditions whereby buyer and seller are typically motivated. Both parties are well informed or well advised and acting in what they consider their best interests. A reasonable time is allowed for exposure in the open market. Payment is made in terms of cash in US dollars or in terms of financial arrangements comparable thereto, and the price represents the normal consideration for the property sold unaffected by special or creative financing or sales concessions granted by anyone associated with the sale. 12 CFR Part 34.42G, 55 Federal Register, 34696, August 24th, 1990, as amended at 57 Federal Register 12202, April 9th, 1992, 59 Federal Register 29499, June 7th, 1994. Number 4. The International Valuation Standards Council defines market value for the purpose of international standards as follows. The estimated amount for which an asset or liability should exchange on the valuation date between a willing buyer and a willing seller in an arm's length transaction. After proper marketing and where the parties had each acted knowledgeably, prudently, and without compulsion. IVS. Number 5. The Uniform Standards for Federal Land Acquisitions defines market value as follows. Market value is the amount in cash or on terms reasonably page 143 reasonably equivalent to cash, for which in all probability the property would have sold on the effective date of the appraisal after a reasonable exposure time on the open competitive market, from a willing and reasonably knowledgeable seller to a willing and reasonably knowledgeable buyer, with neither acting under any compulsion to buy or sell, giving due consideration to all available economic uses of the property at the time of the appraisal, Uniform appraisal standards for federal land acquisitions. Market value of the going concern. The market value of an established and operating business, including the real property, personal property, financial assets, and the intangible assets of the business. Market value of the total assets of the business. The acronym is MVTAB. The market value of all of the tangible and intangible assets of a business as if sold in aggregate as a going concern. Mark to market. The act of recording the value of a security, portfolio, or account to reflect its current fair value rather than its book value. See also fair value. Marshland. Areas that are frequently inundated or saturated by surface water or groundwater that support vegetation typically adapted for life in saturated soil conditions. Generally includes swamps, marshes, bogs, and similar areas. Massachusetts Trust. A form of business, organization, distinct from a corporation or partnership, that conducts its business through a trustee or trustees who hold legal title to the property of the business. Capital contributions are made to the trustees by beneficiaries whose equitable title and interests in the property of the trust are evidenced by trust certificates. The beneficiaries receive the earnings of the trust and may enjoy limited liability, but control and management of the trust rest solely with the trustees. Mass appraisal. The process of valuing a universe of properties as of a given date using standard methodology, employing common data, and allowing for statistical testing. USPAP 2016 through 2017 edition, often associated with real property tax assessment valuation. Mass appraisal model. A mathematical model used to develop values for each property within a group or universe of properties. Master lease. Number 1. A lease in which the fee owner leases a part or the entire property to a single entity, the master lessee, in return for a stipulated rent. The master lessee then leases the property to multiple tenants. Number 2, master lease. The first lease in a sandwich lease. See also sublease. Master plan. A comprehensive, long-range official plan that guides the physical growth and development of a community, combined with the basic regulatory and administrative controls needed to attain the physical objectives, includes land use plan, thoroughfare plan, community facilities plan, and public improvements program. Master plans are usually revised periodically, for instance, every 5 years. In some jurisdictions, the master plan takes precedence over the existing zoning, also called city plan, general plan, or comprehensive plan. Material witness. A witness who can testify about matters having some logical connection with the consequential facts, especially if few others, if any, know about those matters. A person who is capable of testifying in some relevant way in a legal proceeding. Blacks. End of page.